I'm here to film up my reading wrap up for the month of July. So I read a total of 7 books this month and 3 of them were audiobooks. But I'm really happy with what I did get read, and like the reading rush was this month. I managed to get a few books read for that, so I think I had a really good reading month. And then hopefully for the month of August I'll get like a really good amount of reading done as well, because I have the newts and there's a lot of books I want to try and read for that. So I'm going to show you what I read. So the first book I read was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, and I can't believe I finally read this book. This is one of the books Sasha wanted me to read when she picked my TBR, but I didn't manage to get it done in the month of June, so I finished it in the month of July, and I just enjoyed this so much. I love Monty and Percy and like his relationship with Felicity, and how this book just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger with the stuff that they went through, and then by the end of it there was pirates and just weird shit going on, and I was so here for it. And I just loved Monty's development in this book. Like, not that he changed like that much as a person, but he started to care about things a lot more, and I just enjoyed him. And he's really funny and flamboyant, and he doesn't care what people think about him, and just how his relationship with Percy developed as well, because he's been in love with him for years, and then for him to finally get like attention back from him, I'm like, oh my god, kill me, it's so adorable. But I gave this book 5 stars. It's beautiful and I wish I read it sooner. So I did have plans to read books that my Instagram followers picked for me the month before. I was getting them to help me pick what to read from my 2019 TBR, and I was all set, but then I got some review copies of books and I decided to push those to the side for the moment and to read my review copies. So the first one I read was The Kingdom by Jesse Rothenberg. I was just so excited for this because like I went to Hong Kong in March and I also went to Disneyland, and this book gives me severe Disneyland vibes, and I was just so excited. But I love stories about AIs and how they become human and self-aware and realize that the world they're living in is not as perfect as they thought, and this is exactly what this book is about. There's these 7 android princesses that are called Fantastics, and they are a big part of this fantasy theme park where you can literally do anything, and it's like virtual reality and different parks and all different stuff, and basically anything you can think of you can do at this place. And these 7 princesses are the glue that keeps it together, because everyone wants to meet them and interact with them, and they've all got like set things that they need to say and go through. As weird stuff starts kind of happening, they all kind of start to become a bit aware. Suddenly some of them start going missing, and then other things start happening, and the main character Anna meets this boy named Owen who is a worker at the park, and as she starts to interact with him, she starts to realize that things aren't as they seem as well. And I just loved this book so much because it was so interesting. And what I also liked about it is this book is told in Anna's perspective in the present, but it's also told in interviews while she's at a court date where Anna is being accused of killing a worker at the park, and they're trying to figure out why she did it because it's not in her programming. So as we're getting through the interviews and finding out information, we're also seeing it live with her. So that was a really good way to tell this story, and I feel like it's made it different from a lot of AI stories because it had that aspect of intrigue, because you're just like, oh god, she's killed someone, but why? And I also think that this book like needs a sequel, and I don't know if there is going to be one or if this was just a standalone. It left it a way that it could just end, but there is so much more that can be explored in this world, and I just need a second book. Okay, the next book I read was Rubbin' Off by Nadine Brandes, and oh my god, this was so good. I decided to listen to it because Christine from Poland Bananas Books was raving about it, and I just had to listen to it because this is an Anastasia retelling, and it's like so hardcore good. Like, it's literally the actual family, like the actual Romanovs. There's a magic system in there, and like the way that they have like different magic sorcerers, and Rasputin was actually a dude that could do magic, and the way that they have it is you have this spell ink and then you write words and put it into skin and the spells come alive. And the main character Nastya, which is Anastasia, she wants to learn how to do it, but then they've been put into exile, and it's about how she also meets this guard named Zach and like how they interact. And because the family are amazing and they've just been chucked out of their thrones and out of their homes and they've lost everything, but the people love them, the guards love them, and just like it's so hard for people to hate them even though apparently they're like the bad guys. And like the way that they like will interact with their guards and stuff, and they just end up loving them and they want to help them, so they keep getting moved to different locations because of this. And Anastasia has a brother Alexei, and he has got that disease where if you get a cut your blood doesn't clot. So most people with this die at a very young age, because when your blood doesn't clot you just lose all your blood, so any injury can be fatal. And I can't remember the title, like it's there, but to say it properly I don't think I can. But I love that too, because like I love the family bond in this story, and there is so many members of this family, and it's just so good. I enjoyed this so much. Okay, then I picked up Wilder Girls by Rory Power, which was my other review copy, and I actually only gave this one 3 stars. Like, I was expecting to really love it. It had such eerie vibes, and it seemed so creepy because like there's this school like on an island and all these girls go there, but then suddenly this disease breaks out and they've been put on quarantine, and the disease like changes the girl's body. Like the main character to Hetty, like her eyeball pops out and then the skin closes over. One of her friends has like this weird bird-like hand, and then the other one has like a second spine that grows on the outside. Like there's all these weird crazy things, like you have rushes, or like your fingers decide to fall off, or suddenly you just have weird stuff growing out of you. Like it's very creepy. But they've just been stuck in isolation while this disease is going around them. But then like Hetty's best friend Briar goes missing, and she decides to leave to try and find her and discover what's happened to her. And then she finds out all this information about the tox and about how some things aren't as they seem. And this is another one that I feel like they need to write another book, because we got information but like not a lot, and it wasn't explained in a very like concise way that I'm like, there's got to be more to this story than what we got. But I just found that this book was kind of boring. Riot didn't even go missing until more than halfway through the book, and then even the part where they're meant to go find her wasn't very big and happened near the end, and like the information that you were finding out wasn't that interesting, and I'm like, yeah, nothing that I haven't seen before. And I just felt like there was a lot of just, you know, being really sad about the fact that they don't have food, or they have to just walk through the forest, or they just do this and do that. It was all basic stuff. So many people are raving about it, but like I enjoyed it, but it was so boring. It was just boring. It was, and I wished I liked it, but I didn't. Okay, coming into my reading rush wrap up, because I just added at the end here. My first read was Unravel Me by Tahira Mafe. I'm so excited that I'm rereading this series. It's so great. I seriously did not like this book the first time I read it, I'm pretty sure, because I was just annoyed because Adam and Juliet were fighting and they weren't like in love anymore, and I was so hard for me, because now that I've read a lot more books do that, where you think someone's going to be together, then no, they end up with the other person, or some other dude tops up and they end up with them. So before, I was not used to that. I was always used to having a couple set and that's sticking. So the fact that, you know, by the end of this series she ends up with Warner, it's very hard to comprehend that. So me rereading this, I enjoyed it so much more, and I also realized that Adam wasn't as bad as I thought. Like, he's definitely worse in book 3, but I thought he started being really douchey in book 2, and that didn't happen. Like, I understand completely where he's coming from, because he just wants to be with Juliet, but then suddenly his ability to touch her disappears. Juliet doesn't want to hurt him, so she leaves him, and then he's just really upset about everything, and this is not what he wanted his life to be. And I completely understand where he's coming from in this book, and Juliet is such a sook. And like, she does have a great development as a character, and by the time you get to book 3 it is so pronounced and so good. But this book is just definitely her just crying a lot and everyone being like, bitch, why? Next I read Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller, and I actually listened to this one in audiobook, but I was like reading alongside it sometimes, and like at the end I just finished off the last couple of pages. But if I actually physically have the book, it kind of still feels like I'm reading it this way, even though I am listening to it. But I loved the audiobook for this. It was actually really great. I really liked the voices, and it just made written like This is one that I bought ages ago, because I'm pretty sure this came in an Our Crate and then the sequel came out. So I bought this book with the sequel like a year and a half ago, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna read it. Never happened. So this is one of the ones Instagram picked for me, and I'm like, I'll put it in my reading rush TBR because that's gonna work. I also started reading Girls of Paper and Fire, which was another one that was picked, but I didn't finish it this month, and I don't think I'm gonna finish it next month because I have newts now. So that's gonna come up in a wrap up probably in like a few months. But I really liked Alosa as a character, and I liked her interactions with the people on the crew, because she purposely gets captured because she needs to look for this ancient map. There's 3 main pirate families, and they all have a section of this map, and when the map is put together you find like this really big treasure like on this Siren Island. Her family has one part of the map, she's being kidnapped to find another part, and then there's another pirate that has another part of the map. But she's there and she has to stay on this ship while she tries to search for this map, and she has to also deal with like the really like hot first mate written. And I just really enjoyed this because like as the book kept going, it just kept getting crazier and crazier, the things that she had to like work herself out of, but also try and stay on this ship even though there were so many douchey pirates. Like, there's a lot of things you find out about her, and I'm pretty excited for the next book because I think there's going to be a lot of interesting elements to it, and also her relationship with Ridden should hopefully grow more because it's so cute. Okay, and the last book I read this month was To Best the Boys by Mary Weber. This is another one that I like wasn't that keen on reading, but then I saw Christine talk about it, so I'm like, I'll listen to the audiobook blog, and this book was actually really good. My only gripe with it is like the main character Ren is a girl and she wants to go into this competition that is an all boys scholarship competition where they go into this labyrinth and people die, people get sick, people get injured. It's a very intense thing, but if you get into it, you get a scholarship to go to like one of the best schools in this country. Like, I thought it would be a bigger part of the book, but basically that happened in the second half and it didn't even go for that long, because the first part is actually more about the fact that there's this crippling disease going around and Ren's mother has it and they're trying to find a cure for it. So I thought it was all going to be about like death and destruction and in this maze, and like it was when I was in that section of it, but I thought it would be a bigger part of the book because it is to best the boys, but then mostly more it's about to best this disease, you know. But I did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun. I liked her interactions with her cousin Selene, and like they had a really fun friendship, and I also loved Lute. He is like the love interest and I love him, and like they had a really cute relationship as well, and like there's always going to be like the douchey characters that are going into the maze and all the fun things, but I just ended up really enjoying it and I really liked the voice of it. Mary Reb is actually the author of Storm Siren, which I haven't read yet, so reading her latest book was actually really good though, because I really did like her writing style, so I'll be excited to read that trilogy. So these are the books I read this month. Like, I'm in the physical books that I own that I read this month, but I had pretty good reading month though. Like, I really enjoyed everything I did to pick up, and there's a lot here that I've been meaning to read for a while, and I'm so glad I finally got into it. And I also had a good month buying wise, because I read 7 books, I only bought 4. Proud of myself, because now that my TBR money is pretty depleted, I can't buy as many books, so I think I'm doing pretty well. And to go over how TBR money went this month, so The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue was Reader 2017 release, which had a $5. The Kingdom by Jesse Rothenberg was a buzzword book for $5 because like I love kingdom stories, so just the word kingdom really was a buzzword for me. So then I bought 1 new book and I lost $18, so my new total was $9. Romanov was a 2019 release, so that I had another 5. Wilder Girls was read a debut novel because Rory Power hasn't wrote anything else, so another 5. Then Unravel Me was a book with pink on the cover. I mean, it's slightly in the word me and in the eyeball, but I'm gonna take it. Then I bought another new book, so I lost $21, so my new total was 0. Because the book I wanted to buy, I'm like, I'll just see how much it is, because I knew I had $21 and it was like $20.50, and I was like, oh yes. Okay, then Daughter of the Pirate King was read a book about pirates, which is $5, and then To Best the Boys was a book with green on the cover, which added $2. So by the end of the month I had $7, and that's pretty good. Like, I never went into the negatives. I managed to buy 2 books that I really wanted, because like out of the 4 books I bought Romanov and To Best the Boys because I just want to own them because I have issues, but overall I think I did pretty good. But anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed this wrap up. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!